Hello everyone, this is Jess from the Estevan Public Library, here in my home kitchen, and Happy Chinese New Year! This holiday is celebrated in many Southeast Asian countries, but you can find it around all the world today. The Chinese New Year marks the first day of the Lunar New Year and takes place on the first new moon of the first lunar month. And to celebrate Chinese New Year, we are going to be making Chinese dumplings. We're going to be making Chinese pork dumplings specifically today. So for this recipe, you will need a pound of ground pork, some garlic, ginger, green onion, napa cabbage, some soy sauce, rice vinegar, and some sesame seed oil. You will also need some dumpling wrappers, which you can buy pre-made at the store, or if you're like me and just can't find any and really craving fresh dumplings, you can make the dough at your home. All you need is some flour, water, and a little bit of time. So let's get started. To make the dumpling wrapper dough, you will need 2 cups of flour and 3/4 cups of water. At a little bit of a time, slowly add your water to the flour and mix well. Once all your water has been added and mixed in with the flour, you should have a shaggy ball of dough. Once you are done mixing your dough, place it on a lightly floured surface and start kneading. Knead until your dough is smooth. This took me between 4 and 5 minutes to get to a consistency I like. If your dough starts to feel tough as it starts to get smoother, don't worry. Once we let it rest, it will get much softer. So now that your dough is kneaded and nice and smooth, we're going to put it back into the bowl, as long as it's mostly clean. Just put a little towel over it. I'm just going to set it in the corner there and let it rest for 30 minutes. While it's resting, we can get the rest of our ingredients prepped. So while we're waiting for our dumpling dough to rise, I took the time to cut up all my vegetables for our filling and prep all the ingredients. So for the filling, you'll need a pound of ground pork, 2 cups of shredded napa cabbage, 2 green onions, 2 cloves of garlic minced, and about a tablespoon or 2 of fresh minced ginger. You'll also need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and a little bit of salt. 2 other ingredients I forgot to add while filming are 2 teaspoons of rice wine vinegar and 2 teaspoons of sesame seed oil. Be sure to add these to your dumpling filling as well. Once you're finished mixing your filling, you can place it in the fridge until you're ready to assemble the dumplings. You can also keep any leftover dumpling filling in the freezer until you're ready to make some more. While you're still waiting for your dough to rest, it's time to make the dipping sauce. For this, you will need 1 clove of minced garlic, 1 green onion chopped finely, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of sesame seed oil. Mix together well and keep in the fridge until you're ready to plate. So now that our dough is finished resting, it should be nice and soft. Make little holes into it. And now we get to make it into dumpling wrappers. So to start, I'm going to take our dough and slowly kind of make a well in the center like that. And work our way so that we can make a hole in the middle. like that. Now we're gonna work it around. Rolling it with our hands to make a big ring. Do your best to keep it even on both sides, and if it turns into rope, that's okay too. Just as long as it's even on all around. There. Now I have a ring, and it's pretty even on all sides. You want it so that it's a few centimeters thick, not too thin, otherwise we won't have enough dough for the wrapper, but not too thick either where we have too much and then it's too big and the dumpling's too big and we can't cook it very well. So once you're happy with your width, and put it on the table, then we're going to cut it into even pieces. So I'm going to cut mine about a little less than an inch. It's a little guy like that. And we're just going to cut all around the circle. Try to keep them as evenly portioned as you can. That way you'll have more uniformed looking dumplings. But it's okay if they're not all uniformed. Once your dough is cut into small 1-inch squares like this, it's time to start making the wrappers. So first, we're going to take a square and squish it in between the palms of our hands. You want to get it as flat as you possibly can. So once your dough is flat and round like this, we'll place it onto our prepared working space. I just put a little bit of flour onto the table here. You don't want to add too much back into the dough. Next, we'll grab our rolling device. If you have a small rolling pin, that'd be ideal for this. But if all you have is a round drinking glass or a round jar like I do, that works as well. So to start, we'll take our rolling device and just roll out our dough a little flatter. Once your dough is a little bit flatter, we can increase the size by rolling out the edges. Be sure to move your wrapper as you roll out the edges. Do your best to keep the middle of the wrapper a little thicker. This way all the filling stays inside the wrapper and it will be easier to crimp your dumpling later. Keep rolling until your dumpling wrapper is round and about 1 millimeter thick. Dust it lightly with flour and set aside on a plate. Repeat these steps until all the dough squares have been turned into dumpling wrappers. If you have any left over, you can refrigerate them or freeze them until you're ready to make more dumplings. So once you have all your dumpling wrappers made, it's time to start filling the dumplings. So taking your first one here, just going to scoop a little bit of filling into there. Don't want too much, otherwise it will all pop out while it's cooking. And then I have a little bowl of water here just beside me. We'll wet our fingertips and just gently brush along the top here. And then we'll fold it over. The water will help it stick together. That will make it easier when we're folding it. So taking this end, your end closest to you, push it up so that makes a little bit of a W shape. Then pinch the ends together. Then we want to fold it up like that. Then we're going to fold next part over. Then next part over. We're going to keep folding it like an accordion a little bit until we get a dumpling. It will take a little bit of practice. That's what happened, or it took me a little while to learn how to do it. So one more time, around the edge. Fold that up. Push that edge up. And then fold, 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 and fold. Just like that. This is a great family meal to make together, because then you can have everyone helping out, filling the dumplings and folding the dumplings together. Pinch, 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 pinch. There we go. Keep making dumplings until you run out of wrappers. There are a few ways to cook your dumplings. The first is to steam them. The second is to cook them in boiling water for 3 to 4 minutes. Or the third way, which we're going to do today, is to pan fry them. To pan fry your dumplings, place a tablespoon of oil into your frying pan and set the stove to medium heat. While you're waiting for it to warm up, grab a half a cup to 3/4 cup of water. Once the pan is set to go, grab your dumplings and your chopsticks or a regular old flipper if that's all you have, and gently place your dumplings into the frying pan. Be sure not to overcrowd them. I placed about 8 to 10 in mine, but it will depend on the size of your dumplings. Cook your dumplings for 2 to 3 minutes on each side, being sure to flip so that it's a light brown gold on all sides. Once each side has been cooked, very carefully add in your water. Be sure to pour in slowly, as the hot pan might cause the water to bubble back up at you. Once all the water has been added, cover the pan with a lid and let it sit for about 5 minutes. After the 5 minutes is up, uncover your pan and retrieve your dumplings. They should look much bigger now. Place the cooked dumplings onto a plate or a pan. You can finish cooking the rest of your dumplings in the same way, being sure to add a little bit of oil to the pan before frying them, or you can freeze them and save them to cook for another day. And once you're done cooking, your dumplings, you can plate them up and grab a bowl for your dipping sauce and enjoy. Thank you all so much for joining me on our A to Z World Food series, focusing on Chinese dumplings. This is a great recipe for making with your family, as there's lots of parts that everyone can help out with. If you're interested in making this at home, you can find the written recipe down in the description below, as well as a link to the recipe on A to Z World Food resource. I hope you can all join us for our next installment of this series. Until then, happy eating and Happy New Year!